I'm talking about like these big thorns going inside me. Oh, yeah, it was like they are really meaty cactus, so they're very heavy. So it fell on me. Sometimes I think that just because you can do it, you shouldn't do it. Like, like there is people that they want to, modify everything and put things into it. Like, cool, but in my opinion, some cars have the moment to do that, and now you should not do it. Like for certain models, like, for Subaru, so JDM cars, yes, it's always, it kind of goes more with the thing just to make it bigger and blah blah. But I wouldn't do it to, like, let's say, an old Subaru, for example. I would not modify it to that extreme. I would just try to keep it relatively stock and looking as it is, because the time already passed. Like now it's becoming like a nice car, and it's kind of a little bit old, still can kick ass, but you probably want to do little things, maybe OEM plus, what they say, no? And yeah, but VR6 engines, like with turbochargers, with superchargers, man, holy shit! There are people doing builds for those cars, and it's mental. It's like, how on earth you're doing that? And it's a really tiny engine, and they just slam it there, and it just sounds really good. But in my opinion, there is always a moment for everything, and that moment passed. Just keep it nice, keep it beautiful, keep it original, or keep it faithful to the original design, more or less. Make it yours. Like change a few things, like add your touch. If you're building the car, you have to, obviously, it has to be your baby. But my opinion is to keep it certain model, certain age already. Just keep it OEM plus. Change a few things, update things. If you can swap things to a more useful, like more like the shifter, for example. The shifter in the Corrado, it's crap. So you can do a swap from the shifter tower and the shifter box to like a newer one. It's actually from a Volkswagen Polo, but it's so much crispier. So now I'm doing that. So you need to, cut some stuff and weld a few things and drill a few holes. So there is a lot of bibliography on how to do it. And it will look the same, but it will work better, and you will shift better. Or the brakes, the rear brakes, you can swap them from it's a Mark II to a Mark III, and they are aluminum, they're lightweight, they don't seize, like, so you can do that. It's just little bits you add, and you do, like, change the sensors from this one to that one, low temperature, this one, remove the hose, it's kind of like a nice thing, but keep it, this is my own opinion only, just keep it, if other people wants to modify the crap out of them, it's your car, it's your choice, you do it, you pay for it, it's good. But in my opinion, that's a better approach. Go with the motorbike in this country, it's horrible. It's like they don't respect you at all. It's really scary, man. It's really fucking scary. Like they will pass you I don't know, a Nissan Patrol. Like, how much is 2.5 tons? How much is that car? How weight? So and they pass you like 2 meters away, 160 per hour. It's like, man, I could feel the shock wave of your car. Like, I almost, like, it's, and they don't care, they don't know. Or you're taking a turn and they pass you on the side, and like, what's wrong with you? Like, you cannot wait like 30 seconds. What if I fall, if I go under your wheels? Like, I am the chassis. Like, it's just, it's mental, man. It's, so for the bike, what I did, there's a study that says that if you see blue lights on the road, you pay more attention. There is like actually, I think it's a 20-something% more drivers are aware that there are. So I install a small blue LED light on the bike. So I have it wired to the lights, and it's just in the back. So whenever I'm with the bike, like, people will see blue lights, and they're like, police, no, okay. But they know that I am there. They are perfectly aware that I am there as a thing, so they can see me at least. So that's the most passive security, passive safety feature that I can do, and I was just wiring some LEDs, and that's it. But yeah, man, it's a thing. But no, overall, police, I try to be good, especially here. I try to be a nice guy. I try not to be into trouble. Like from another thing from this car, like the Volkswagen, commonly you change the stereo and blah blah blah, and it was like a very ugly 2000 stereo kind of thing. It just doesn't fit at all with how it looks, the car. Like, it breaks completely the aesthetic of the car. And I wanted to go back to the original stereo. And those stereos, some years ago, they were just discarded, literally. People just threw them away. But now, they are starting to shoot up in value. And they are at ridiculous prices now. Yeah, I mean, not ridiculous, like, a lot, but more than what I want to pay for an old radio. So I managed to find the old one for parts, and I fix it, and I open it, I weld it back together, and blah, 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 and I managed to find the original, period correct stereo, and it works, and it's just beautiful, and it just completes the experience so much. Like, you're there, and the lines are, straight lines, the buttons, it's all analogic, and you have to push the button, and you hear the click of the button, if it does the click, because sometimes it doesn't do it, but it's just, you cannot get this thing in, like, new cars, like everything is knobs and touch screens and sensors and lights. No, man, no, it's not. You lose a lot the experience like that. So yeah, I mean, I like cars, I love cars, but I also like motorbikes. And I guess the wildest thing I've done with something with an engine, I drove the motorbike from Abu Dhabi to Istanbul. I crossed the strait and I went through Iran, and then I crossed all Turkey and I reached Europe. So I crossed to Europe, and it was 5 weeks and 8,000 kilometers. And I was only with like the bike and all the gear, all the luggage, and just going. And it was quite extreme, not extreme, I mean, but it was quite a thing. It was 5 weeks of I camped 80% of the time, met people, got stuck in the border. I don't know. It was, but that was kind of like interesting adventure to do with something with engine. Like the worst part, it was from Abu Dhabi to Sharjah on the bike, like in the traffic. I thought I was gonna die, and then crossing to Iran on the boat. But Iran is super hot also, and I wanted to reach the mountains as soon as I can. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna cannonball one day, 700 kilometers, reach the mountains. It's gonna be cooler. And it was. I started at 3 a.m. the trip, and it took me like, I don't know, 14 hours to get there. I had to stop every, I don't know, half an hour to just buy water and just put it on top of me. It was so miserable. And I remember in a small village, a shitty village in the middle of nowhere, I stopped in a stop sign and I passed out. I collapsed and I fall on the side on the traffic light, and I was like, oh shit. So I started dragging the bike out, and some people, one guy came, he helped me out. I put the bike on the side, and I was like, I need water. So I went to like the first little shop, and I was like, water, please, water. And it was just, I put water and I rested, and the guys were looking at me like, who is this guy? Like, what? And it was hot. It was very, very hot. It was just one after the other one after the other one. Very nice. It was so that was kind of like a, mayhem on engine, driven vehicle. And I don't know, but track days are fun, but it's quite.
Where did you end it?
What do you mean?
Where did you end the journey?
In Istanbul. So it was in the European part of Istanbul. So it was technically reach Europe. I didn't have more time, and I was changing jobs. I needed to come back to the Emirates, so I was like, okay, Istanbul is a good spot. End up there, put the bike on a boat, ship it here, and that was it. I was not going to drive back. It was way too much again. But I would have really liked to go to Spain and to reach Spain with the motorbike. That would have been a really cool thing. So yeah, that was good. I think all my crazy experiences with vehicles, they are with shitty vehicles. So I was living in the Caribbean and working there in field work situation, like really shitty living, Caribbean island, like tiny island. It's north of Venezuela, and I used to have a pickup. It was called Rusty. So I remember once I was in the forest and I stopped. I went out to do something and I forgot the pickup on gear. And it's a diesel, so diesels are really torquey. So it started like, dot, 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 and it started going through the forest by itself without me. And I was like, holy shit, Rusty, wait! So I started chasing Rusty, and Rusty was like, la la la, minding his own business. And then at some point, Rusty hit a cactus, because it's kind of like desertic island. So the north part is jungle, but the south part is desertic. And Rusty hit a cactus, and I'm talking like about a cactus 3 meters high, and they're like really meaty ones. So Rusty hit the cactus, and the cactus fell, and the cactus was falling on me. So I was like, oh shit. So I just covered, and it just like hit me in the face, in the back. I'm talking about like these big thorns going inside me. Oh yeah, it was like, they're really meaty cactus, so they're very heavy. So it fell on me, and I didn't have the health insurance. I could not afford healthcare. So with my coworker, I was like, man, you need to cut me open and you need to remove the thorns. So I got a bottle of wine, and he just started cutting me open and removing thorns from my back. I still have like a lot of scars, but he couldn't do all of them. So I knew that there were some medical students in the island. So I went to them and I was like, hey, do you want to practice surgery? And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, man, like, you can practice on me. And they were like, yeah, sure, why not? So anyway, so at the end they ended up like cutting everything, taking it and stitching it back together. And that was Rusty. That was good old Rusty starting his life, doing his business.